Welcome back in, y'all. We are Black Girls Talking TV, where we bring the group chat to life and discuss all your favorite TV shows. Today is all about episode 6, 7, and 8 of the final season of You. If you have not watched them yet, save this video and come back in when you watch it. I'm Victoria. I am a psychologist out of New York and Illinois.
And I'm Kamaria. I'm an attorney in the DC area and a pop culture writer. So yeah, let's get into it. We're discussing Netflix's You, the final season. We're going to discuss everything storyline by storyline. So we're going to do Bronte and Joe first. Then we're going to talk about Kate and Joe. And then we're going to talk about Joe and Maddie. And so it just kind of helps us with the flow of the conversation. And before we get into any of that, anything you want to just say off the top about these episodes and like how you were feeling?
What is that movie where the dude is like, I was right. Everything I say is right.
Because you were right. You were right. But it was a little combination though. They were also side notes. Yes. Some of them were citizen detectives, but
yes,
you were
right. You're right. Yes, it was definitely a blend of both going on there.
Yes. But you're right. It was she knew Beck, and Clay was actually Dr. Nikki's son. Yeah. So that I was not expecting. My only thoughts on these episodes were more so like they were a little slower paced, but not in a bad way. Like in a way of like, yes, tell me this backstory because I need to know. How do we get here? And so they were a little slower paced in that regard. Not as much like jaw-dropping drama, but still very, very good. Like I was very much into the whole backstory, the whole, flashback on episode 6 and 7. And I expected 8 to end on like a little bit more of a cliffhanger, but I guess Kate's saying, we gotta kill him.
Right.
Because that's, all right, well, let's see what y'all do. I would like to see him go to jail personally. We haven't watched episodes 9 and 10, so we don't know what happens. But I don't want him to get killed. I want him to go to jail.
Yes, he needs to suffer. He has to feel what he has done. And if he dead, you can't feel nothing.
Right. I know. And then also,
that's the easiest escape for him is death.
Right. And I feel like Kate needs to just come to terms with, like, this is the price you pay. You want him to go down so bad. You have some repentance as well that needs to happen,
Absolutely.
So yeah. But yeah, so let's get into it.
Let's start with Joe and Bronte. So it picks up with Bronte being at the police station, giving her confession, but it takes us through this backlog, this history of years of Bronte, Clay, and her other 2 friends creating this plot to take down Joe Goldberg. We find out that Bronte used to be a student of Beck's.
Yeah.
And through their... Beck. Yeah, we see Beck.
I'm like, new a little bit of Beck. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was refreshing to see in the way they kind of tied that into a timeline with her still dating Joe. Yeah. And Bronte being like, Joe, she has to go. She's all mine now. I thought that was a nice tie-in there.
Yeah.
Like, she was around while Beck was dating Joe.
Yeah, craziness. And I was like, the actress who played Beck, I don't know her name, but she 5 years later, sis looks good, still looks the same. Yes. I was like, okay, go ahead. Yes. Moisturize her. Because I'm like, she looks
she does look really good. She looks the same. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so Bronte starts to get suspicion after Beck dies because she's reading her manuscript and is like, nah, this not the Beck I know. This isn't the Beck that was critiquing my work and tell me about, different feminist perspectives within my writing. And so she grows suspicious, and she, what was it? She starts to she said she was taking care of her mom throughout the day. And at night, she was she was in online forums and finds the other friends.
So, side note, one of the things that I was thinking about she read the book and she was like, it just felt like parts weren't her. I thought there was actually going to be like an Easter egg in there that Beck left, like putting in the
Yes.
quote or something specifically said something like in her dedication, or putting in a quote and like really trying to call out to Bronte, you know what I mean, like Louise at the time. And when I saw this flashback, I thought, I like, oh my god, was this Beck sending out, this signal to
Yeah.
Louise, and Louise just actually got it and then ran with it? But it doesn't seem like that. But I would have loved for them to do that, because
Yeah, that
I
would
think
have
that
been
would have been
great.
nice. It would have been like Beck had some like vengeance, and she
Yeah.
purposely, because it was her idea to write the book.
Right. Even
So
if it
anyway.
wasn't like a call at Bronte specifically, I think it would have been good to like highlight maybe some words in there that people who really
Mhm.
know Beck, like the writer
Mhm.
side of her, would have
Mhm.
said, no,
Yeah.
like this ain't it. Like
Yeah.
she says these types of quotes when she's in these types of situations. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, because it's like, it's side note. This is something totally unrelated, but like, my family, like, we have this like safe word that my mom uses or whatever, and it's like she'll ask us for the safe word sometimes when we don't return her calls. I would have liked for them to have something like that people would have picked up on in there, and it
Yeah.
was intentional on her part. But anyway, I like what they
Yes.
did. It wasn't bad.
Hmm.
I'm just giving them some, after the fact ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. So it seems like the friends, after they start meeting together and they start creating their plans of how to take Joe down, it seems like they're not moving fast enough or as aggressive as Bronte would like. And so
Mhm.
that's why Bronte starts to break into the bookstore. She ends up meeting Joe, and then she gets the idea, like, I can make him fall in love with me, especially after seeing his writing and finding out
Mhm.
that he was a romantic. And
Mhm.
so she creates this idea to draw him closer to her, knowing that he kills whoever he falls in love with. So after they start, is this after they start dating where they have that conversation where he was like, I wish I would have been the one to kill Dr. Nikki because then Beck would have been alive?
Something like that. Yeah. Bronte started
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah, Bronte started falling right there, or just feeling like, maybe he's not a killer.
Yeah, it
She
reminded me
started
of
straying away
like,
from the plot.
right. Have you ever seen the movie with Omar Epps and LL Cool J in Too Deep? And it's like when these guys go undercover. It just reminded me of any plot where a police officer goes undercover and then they start having like actual ties and emotional bonds with the gang, or whatever.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that, and I was like, girl, but
Yeah. Yeah. So
um
after she starts to question whether or not he really is the killer, she starts to fall back a little bit. So it comes to the night where it's the opening of the bookstore, and she
mhm,
tells Clayton, like, let's chill. Not really in the mood to fake tonight.
mhm,
He comes
mhm,
anyway.
mhm,
So that's when we learn that that wasn't like a setup scene. He was actually being
mhm,
aggressive towards Bronte,
mhm, and she
and it
was not
freaked
feeling
Bronte
it.
out. Yeah, she
Mhm,
was not feeling it. Um, so I think that's a good pause because that's where things start to transition with her
mhm,
relationship with Clayton, as she's
mhm.
also falling in love with Joe.
Yeah, yeah, that's like, it's like a little, that's where she starts spinning, like, to,
Yeah,
okay, that was this way, but maybe I'm gonna be this way. You said in another episode, like, they be writing these women sometimes frustrating, like, we're half rooting for them and then half frustrated by them. And you were like, she was a little aggy for you already. She had not been very aggravating for me until this episode. Like, I was like, girl, what are we doing here? Then I was like, all right, just show her. Let him kill her. Like,
yes,
like, just, she one of the people who got to know, like, see the lesson, experience the lesson for herself, to know the lesson. Give her the lesson.
yeah. Like I said, I was already frustrated with her. And in this episode, I was looking at her like we couldn't be friends. We couldn't be friends in real life.
Yeah. And who's her friend with the long hair? Not
I don't
Phoenix,
know
but
her
the other
name.
one.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know her
that
name.
whoever the other one is who came with Clayton, who was doing the live, she's
Yes,
patient. You know, she's
she is very
patient
patient.
because she's understanding where she is in this, and then she's also being like, okay, we're not gonna push you, we're not gonna this, but she's like very like, girl, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised that she didn't catch on a little quicker that Bronte was potentially falling in love with Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I
But
think
my
she was, from a woman's perspective, was like, Bronte's in a very dangerous situation, so we're gonna go at her pace. This is her
yeah.
body. This is, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And Clayton was a little bit more aggressive with it, but
Yeah. What did you think about this? Like Clayton's aggression towards her, and what do you think about Bronte's response about it all? Because that is seems to be what shifts things for the worse for the both of them, you know?
yeah, well, what I wasn't really clear on was how did Clayton become so aggressive about this idea now? Like, at first, it seemed like Clayton and the other friends were moving slower, and that's why Bronte
Mhm.
felt the need to do a little bit more. Like, I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out, was it the fact that now, because Joe is right in front of them and in
Mhm.
proximity, that it feels more real for Clayton
Mhm.
now? He's like, oh no,
Mhm.
like, I gotta get my dad out of this situation.
Mhm.
Um, and then also too, I was also wondering, like, him being a guy, is he picking up, that Bronte might be feeling Joe a little bit,
Mhm.
but isn't calling it out per se, but it's just like
Mhm.
testing the waters through these different actions. Like, I'm gonna be aggressive
Mhm.
here and see how everyone responds. Um, but yeah, I couldn't get a read on like
Read on it,
where this
yeah.
shift happened. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's because it's difficult because it's like they're not showing us Clay's perspective in a lot of this. So we don't know Clay before, like as a character, before this moment, uh his world collides with Bronte.
Hmm.
So we don't know if he was an aggressive guy, period. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if he is a guy who is just getting close to possibly freeing his dad and getting more
Yeah.
active. I think what you said is probably that's what the writers intended for this character is probably is that like he has a lot on the line. His dad is actively in jail and he's trying
Yeah.
to save him. Like Beck is no longer there. So, Bronte, she can avenge her death, but she can't bring her back. But he can do something actively about his family member. And that part at the beach house where he's like in her face and he's like, you're the one who kind of hijacked this. I'm the one who has a family member. This is my life. You hijacked my fight, basically.
Hmm.
But I think they both had valid points, but I think that he definitely just was. There's something about him that was aggressive to push her because that
Yeah.
was just
Yeah, that was straight
there's no
up.
excuse for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and so I think that maybe he had to have it in him. You
Yeah.
know, nobody just
Absolutely.
jumps out and just pushes a woman on the ground if there wasn't in them. So he had to have it in
Yeah.
him. You know.
Yes, yes, yes.
And he also could have just been like thinking like, "Oh, Bronte's here." Like at first he was nervous about her risking her body, but Bronte's out here risking her body. She seems to not care about it that much. It's not that dangerous in her mind. So he may have started recalculating how much danger he was willing to put her in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so there could have been a little bit of that too, because he's just like, well, she's willing to sleep with him. She's willing to do this. Like, let's get it going. And he's getting
Right.
close to like possibly them having a big moment. Because
Yeah.
before it felt like they were just on the outside looking in. Now it's like, oh, they in here and they might
Right.
have a chance, to figure something out.
Well, there's also the element that we probably aren't thinking about is from what he knows about his dad, Beck was cheating on Joe with Nikki.
Oh
So he
yes.
probably feels like if there's another man in Bronte's life that's challenging him and challenging his position, then potentially that is what leads him to kill. And so that's why he does
Mhm.
all of these things without
Mhm.
consulting with the group. Like he created that story to make it seem
Mhm.
like, she left
Mhm.
Moody's to go be with him, and
Mhm.
as we know, but Bronte didn't think about it, lures him in. I was like, girl, you didn't think he was gonna follow you?
Yeah, I thought that was purposeful for sure. Like,
Yeah, I
girl.
did too. I thought that was the one thing in the plan she probably came up with to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, what's going on here? But he knew, though. He knew. Clay
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah. And I guess that's good to like we can jump back into like how like the storyline because like eventually they do get there to
Yeah.
the beach house and they show us that side of it, just that like she really was genuinely calling him and saying like, leave me alone. No, you forget about me, let
Right.
me go. And then hung up. Like he wasn't gonna,
And
even
from
back
the
in the day they had
restaurant
Star
phone.
69. You said what?
And from the restaurant phone.
Right. That's what I'm like, it probably showed up on his caller ID. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like even the
Yes.
spammers' names been showing up lately. Like
Right.
they be like
Right.
Tom Jones. I'm like, oh my god,
Right.
Spam Likely. They have names too. It's like he knew who she
Yeah.
was.
What we should have realized was how easy it was for Joe to even track Bronte. Like, on yes, we knew about the phone call, but when he broke
Mhm.
into Clay's apartment and got the sticky note with the password, like that was just too easy. Like the password is literally right under the desk for you to be able to
Mhm.
log in and see that he was, in that area, his
Mhm.
transactions on his bank card.
But also, I'm wondering why he didn't see the group, like the Bronte, like why he didn't see a Bronte group. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
With that, like
yeah.
how was that not discovered when Joe broke into the apartment? Because apparently they
Child.
having group chats and group calls and stuff like that. Feels like that would have been discovered.
Right,
Um,
email something. Something.
yeah.
But yeah, so Bronte, she reveals all of this through the conversation with the police and ultimately just says, you know what? Yeah, it was actually self defense. Like, he was protecting me from Clayton. Bada boom, bada bang. I'm like, all right.
Girl is gone. She is gone.
She's gone. She's gone.
That's when I was like, okay, tee her up. Next victim, tee her up
Yes.
because
Yes.
if you gotta kill somebody, at least somebody can have this. Not that she. I was about to say bad things. I would say that she deserves it, but she doesn't. She doesn't.
Yep.
She just. It's just irritating. It's like
Yes.
she stepped closer to it. That's what I would
Yes.
say,
She
as
stepped
opposed
right
to
into it
somebody
with that
who.
one.
Yeah, I'm just like, bruh. This and then I'm like, and the further we go into all of this, the more and more it's just unbelievable how much she's seeing. And so I'm a little unclear right now, at the end of episode 8, where Bronte stands, even.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because it feels like she said something, like, I know I'm skipping all ahead, but she said something to the prisoner guy. So let me just back up. When the guy who tries to kidnap her is Joe locks him in a cage, she says to him something about like, Beck, a man like you killed my friend. And I'm like, a man you sleep with killed your friend, girl. Like, this is not a, like, you're not putting the two and two together,
Yes.
like, right
Yes.
now. And but then she also can see Joe saying like, I like to kill and I this, so
Yes.
it's like she is seeing him but still not, she like not connecting the dots.
Yes, she's also
So
having some cognitive dissonance. She's like toying with these two
yes.
identities, and so she just convinces
Mhm.
herself to get rid of one by saying, well, he's a lover, he's a protector.
Come on,
So he's
psychologist.
only gonna do what he has to do,
No.
no
But you
matter
know
how
what?
psychotic it is.
This is real life. Like, and also we have to, I guess, give her grace. So, like, this is real life, especially if you like intimate with people. Like, you have all these trusting and bonding hormones, and it's like once you start viewing somebody in one light, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you have a story for how that person got like that. Like, you have a framework for like, you feel like right? You feel like you
Yes.
the psychologist.
Yes.
You feel like and they do things outside of that behavior. You really do start like you rationalize it through the framework that you believe, what you think they are. You start to rationalize those actions, and there's a whole different rationale and reasoning for why they're doing those different actions. But because you choose to believe or have chosen to believe what fits in what you originally believe, it's like you miss it. You miss that there are other possibilities to explain this behavior. And that's what she's doing. So maybe she needs a little grace. Maybe we need to give her a little grace. Just a little bit.
When you messing with people being dead, I don't know. I don't know if you can have that much grace. Like, especially because Bronte is not an idiot. She's not this docile, timid, quiet girl. Yeah. Like, you got some smarts about you. You have some intuition. I don't know if you educated. Well, she went to school and she dropped out. But either way, like, you read books. Anybody who read books is educated. So
I know, self-educated.
Right. So I'm like, girl, you ain't dumb. You just purposely ignoring the signs because the D is good.
Yeah, and because the romance has gotten you. The romance can sway you too.
Yeah, but one thing she has not said though to that point is that she's also a romantic, right? Like, dark romance novels is her thing. Mm-hmm. It's what she wrote about as well. So this is like fulfilling her fantasies as well.
Yeah. All right. So all of this is like the flashback, and they're explaining sort of what was happening on this Scooby-Doo. What does he call them? Scooby-Doo crew, whatever. Yes. What happens on their side of all of this. And then we get back to present day, and so there's some, booking and, jail stuff that we'll kind of talk about more in Kate and Joe's storyline, because there's press coverage and all that good stuff. But relevant to Bronte and Joe's storyline is that when he comes back, he finds that camera in the apartment, and she sees him find it, and he's like, I see you, you see me, we see each other. And then he kind of just recognizes that, like, he's in this whole thing because of Bronte. He's like, I thought she loved me, I thought she was here, and she wasn't. And it just kind of makes him very angry at her and see her in a different light. He also finds out about Clay's being Nikki's son because his lawyer uses the same last name. And so he starts to just realize that this is just like this whole setup. And so Bronte is sort of like struggling with this idea of talking to him. It's like she kind of wants to say something, but she doesn't know what to say. And so she's like deleting texts and all that good stuff. And her friends...
Ridiculous. I'm sorry. That was ridiculous. I was like, girl... Typing out backspace. The deed is done. That's what I wanted to say. The deed is done, girl. Like,
it's some people see mess and they walk towards it. I can't. For real, I've done that before. But her friends are not realizing that she's like, because she's not talking to them, she's not telling them, she's just being like, no, I don't want to do that. But they ask her to, get on to the social media, because they out here TikToking, talking about, like, guess what, this guy, he killed him too, or he probably killed, maybe unalived him too, or whatever. And so there's a lot of social media content about this, a lot of publicity, and they want her to use her face. She's like, no. And then she finally tells her friends that she thinks he's innocent, and she thinks they set him up. And she's just like, her friends are like, what in the world? I can't believe. But Joe Goldberg is trending, and different people come out and tell their stories. Side note, before I go through the list of those people we saw, I really enjoyed this flashback. I feel like this was nice. Bring in the people, because we know people who know some things. And if they all get together, they can, put the story.
Right. Undeniable evidence. We got all of this stuff right in front of us. All these people lying.
Yeah.
All these people lying. We get right back to, when a victim is a victim, but nobody want to believe the victim because people are in high places.
That part. But Carrie and Sherry come out in response to Quinn's mother. Quinn's mother is the first one I think we see. I didn't know who she was. I was like, who is this lady? I don't remember her face.
He killed both of my babies.
Right, though. He did, though. Yeah. Basically, is responsible for both of them being gone. Yeah. But then Sherry and Carrie, like, no, Quinn Quinn was crazy. I looked in them crazy eyes myself. Okay.
Yes.
And so she starts to refute that. And then there's Peach's friend. She's like, he totally killed our friend Peach. There's that. And then there's the student from Darcy who was friends with the one who got incarcerated. There was Paco. Paco, I was like, oh, so cute. Bring Paco back. He's like a teenager now. I was like,
Yeah.
that's so cute.
I'm like, why they have him looking so distressed though?
It's in a distressed household. Like, you think that
Oh,
mama got
okay.
better over the years? She probably doing the same thing. She just with a new man.
Hair all looking just straggly and wet. I'm like, what is going on here?
Paco in the streets. He trying to maintain and survive. Somebody,
Yeah, you ain't
like,
lying.
yeah,
You ain't lying.
Paco is, yes. I thought that was an accurate trajectory for like a Paco. Hopefully he's keeping his head up though, and not like, I got some. For real. And then we see Beck has an older brother. I didn't realize that. Yeah. So we had a whole crew of folks who took to social media and the guy at the bookstore, we forgot to mention him. Is that Ethan?
Oh, yes, that's Ethan.
Yeah, he was like very middle of the road. Like, that's not the Joe I know, but I believe victims. Like, he was torn. But yeah, that was nice to see these folks. I wonder if he was still with the writer girl, we didn't he get engaged.
Yeah.
They moved in together. But yeah, it was nice to see the flashbacks of the folks because, even though he killed Beck and he killed, Quinn, but he's like, other people from these storylines were there, and so it was nice to see them come back. We didn't see no Marianne though, but because Marianne, she like
that
watch it from afar,
baby. Right?
But yeah, so that was kind of like that happened. Any thoughts on any of that? But before we move on into like the Bronte getting kidnapped and all that.
No, I'm right there with you. I was like, "Oh, this is nice." It was refreshing because you want to see how everyone is doing, and hate that it's in this light.
Right.
But what other way would they be coming back into the storyline?
True.
But what was interesting though after this scene when Joe was listening to all of these videos was he said something to the effect of like, all that I did, all the people I protected, all the people who are now safe because of me. I was like, this is so... If people want to know what real narcissism looks like, it's that.
Yeah, no.
It's that. This idea that you are a Trojan horse and everyone should be praising you for the things that you do, no matter how much you hurt people. And it's also antisocial because he has absolutely no respect for anyone's well-being. He is a boundary demolisher. Like he doesn't care, right? Like, during this scene I was just like, this man is sick. I mean, you say it all throughout the seasons, but like, you're sick to take this moment to feel like people owe you something versus all the people you've hurt, all the people who are now hurting because of who you have killed.
Yeah. And like one of the things I think that like I've seen, and maybe this is like TikTok folks, so maybe accurate or not, but I've seen that narcissists have like this perpetual victim mentality. Like everybody is persecuting them. They have this sense of like being special and like no one can understand them and that sort of thing. And just this, delusion, like they jump into delusion always.
Yes.
Because they are living in a fantasy as opposed to the reality. They're living in this world that they think the world is, as opposed to what the world is actually. And so he was interesting with all of that.
That's centered around them. That world is absolutely centered around them.
Yeah.
What they think, how they feel things should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So that causes them to gaslight, causes them to do all kinds of things. But anyway, lie, all these things. But,
yes. Yeah. And so as all of this is going on at the same time, Bronte is seeing her ass is getting dragged online too.
I
She
but by the wrong
ends
people.
up, yeah,
for the
by the
wrong
wrong
reason.
people. Yeah, and
I was like, I
definitely
couldn't
for the
support
wrong
her
reasons.
dragging. I was like, even though I don't
Yeah,
like you, girl,
right. Right,
they drag
right,
you for the
right.
wrong reasons and the wrong people
Absolutely.
drag you. So
Absolutely.
I gotta be on your
Yes.
side.
Yeah. But you know, it's that whole idea like, oh, she was dressed like a slut. And you know, it's that it was giving that vibe.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like it was the wrong people, the wrong, it was just I was like, Lord, they touching on everything, social issues.
Right. And so after all of this is unfolding, right, Bronte somehow ends up back at Moody's while Joe is giving this interview. And we're going to touch on this more during the Maddie and Joe storyline. So Joe was saying all of these things about not loving Bronte being the worst mistake. And during the middle of the interview, he sees that Bronte actually texts him saying, I told him the truth. And so immediately he shifts because now he's in like his white savior, white knight mode. And he goes back on this interview and is like, you know what? I did it for love. And he puts on that Joe gaze and somehow everybody loves him. Yeah. His perception in the world is on the up and up. All right. Even Cardi B, I don't know if y'all caught that, but Cardi B had a little tweet in there and said like, when he got allegations, but he a 10. Hashtag Joe Goldberg.
I didn't see that. I heard you asked me that. And I didn't notice that. That's so
when he was scrolling through, he was like, okay, people are starting to like me. The interviews seem to work.
Because Cardi B, she loves this show. She loves her some Joe Goldberg and you. Yes. And so that's probably how they got her on there.
Hopefully Cardi B will come for the finale on Black Girls Talking TV. No, I'm just kidding.
We can hope. Wishful thinking.
Yes, wishful thinking. But Cardi, if you want to come sit down with us for the finale, girl, I'm gonna make this a clip so everybody who watches this tag Cardi B. For
I ain't got time. Yes. Help us out, y'all.
So as Joe is seeing that people are starting to like him again online, he also sees that Bronte is getting dragged online. And he sees where Bronte is. He goes to follow her and sees that Bronte is getting attacked by some random man. Joe knocks him out, swoops up Bronte, and we can pause at now Bronte is at Joe's house in handcuffs, laying in the bed.
Yeah, that should have been her real, like, red flag girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't know before, you should know now.
Yeah. But she didn't wake up scared enough for me. I would have started screaming and some more stuff.
Yeah, just like, I'm not saying you did it. I just need to leave immediately. It's like, let me go. Yeah. And then we can talk on the phone.
Yes. One thing that I got from my bestie, Cara, shout out to Cara, is whenever somebody acting crazy, you act crazy too. You better start acting like a monkey. That'll scare them. They're going to be like, I ain't messing with her. I'm not messing with her because I don't know what she got going on. And that was Bronte's moment to shine.
Yeah. And I guess we can chit chat about like all that happens after, like him taking her to the cage and being like, it's your choice. It's your choice. And she like, it's like, in that moment, you should recognize this man is crazy. Like, he's taking you to see the person he's trapped in the cage. He's saying that this don't make sense. He said that the cage is because of Quinn used it. Why he using it now? Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Why is he using it? It's because he used it, because he uses it, girl. So she sit there and she becomes complicit with this. I don't even understand what this whole conversation was about. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why she let him out. I don't understand. I mean, like, not saying I want her to keep him in. It's like, why you sit there that whole time and talk with that man? If you were going to let him out, you just like, you can't be a part of this. If this is your decision, I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not making the decision. I'm out. You decide. If you're going to do that, you're going to decide. But I'm not making a decision. I'm not being part of this. Like, everybody's going to the police.
Right. Like, but you let him out and then you stayed. And then y'all have a kumbaya. It's only truth in the cage.
Yeah. Oh, and when she put herself in that cage, like, just jumping to all the crazy moments. She put herself in the cage. Then when he got in the cage, I was like, what? I was like, oh, Bronte, is this your real plan? You about to try to like...
Right. It was getting a little spicy. I said, "Oh, my girl, she's back. Clink,
Yeah,
clink."
I was like, this was her ruse to get him into the cage. But I was like, but she don't know he got a key and he gonna come after her
Right.
just like with that hobble leg. Oh my gosh, he would have came
Yes.
after her, but luckily for her, I guess it wasn't a ruse, and so he didn't have to come after her. But unluckily for her, I would not be surprised if she doesn't make it through this series. Like I would not be surprised if she gets axed before episode 10. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, that was a lot. Anything else from their storyline that we didn't discuss?
No, I think that was most of it. I mean, the girl said, "I ain't gonna leave you," and
Well, I mean,
and
I guess we didn't really delve into like how he got emotional in the cage.
yeah,
I was surprised he even went in the cage, but
yeah.
it was an emotional moment for him because he was just like, what did he say? I don't forgot his pain already. He was like,
Well, it was basically right, like these fears of abandonment.
yeah,
That's what they were talking about. Were no
mm,
longer necessary. Um,
mm-mm.
and she was telling him like,
She's
you
not gonna
kill
leave.
because you want to make sure people stay around. But what if I told you don't have to kill and I'm here, like, no
And
matter what?
this is the part I also want to say. I had to tell myself this before that I'm not a damn psychologist. You know what I'm saying? Like we get into these moments, think we know somebody, think we know. Oh, you kill because you are abandoned. You kill
Yes.
because you are abandoned, and you need to know
Yes.
someone's not gonna be. Bitch, he killed because he's a killer. He
Yes.
kills because he's a killer. Like you know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And she out here trying to psychologize him and think that she got him figured out, and this is the way she can handle him. Meanwhile, she's endangering herself because her premise is actually wrong, that
Yes.
he is abandoned. It's like maybe that's wrapped up in the story for sure. You know what I'm saying? Some piece of this abandonment. It's what pushes him into this maybe psychotic, break or whatever. This trauma is part of it, but he could have also been born like a psychopath or just with narcissistic personality disorder. And it's
Yeah.
like there's nothing about it's nothing that you're gonna do to fix that. People say that's not even a treatment for that narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
It's just like they will
Mm-mm.
just do talk therapy, but like that ain't even gonna be effective unless they want to do it. But
Right.
anyway,
Right. Right. Right.
but that was all good.
Sad story for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. But it's a great play on just like how sometimes, and I'm only gonna speak for the women's perspective, like that we can like get so easily wrapped up in this idea that we can save a man, raise a man, change a man, and it just be like that man is gonna be that man.
Absolutely. I ain't met a
What's
man
that?
that
What's that
changed that.
doctor's
I
name?
promise you.
I forgot her name. Um, anyways, but she'd be all over. She did the interview with Cam Newton.
Oh, Dr. Bryant?
Yes, Dr. Brian. She did some interview and she was basically saying like the man that he was when you accepted him is the man that he will remain. That is the man that you chose. What should be saying? That you cleaved to.
Girl, like, yeah. So, you know, I don't really know what to say because it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy as old as time. You know what I mean?
Yes, it
That
is. It
there have been
is.
women in the past who've fallen down this pathway. That will be women in the future. That women currently right now. It's somebody watching this thinking they gonna change.
Okay. Okay. That man gonna be that man. He gotta be willing to change, and people can change, and you could be a
If they
reason
want
for
to,
why somebody wants to change, but it's
but
only
it
gonna
ain't gonna
happen
make them
if
change.
he wants to. That's it. That's
It
all.
won't be. Yeah, yeah.
Point blank. Period. Yeah. Yeah.
Self-directed change,
Self-directed.
self-correction. That's the only kind of
Self-correction.
correction that's in change
Yes.
that's gonna happen. But anyway,
Yes.
we preaching.
All right, let's move on. So that's Bronte and Joe's story. So let's get into Kate and Joe.
Okay, Kate and Joe.
Another woman coming to Joe's
Yeah.
sacrifice. I said, Kate, why you didn't let that man stay in jail? Why are we bailing him out?
Yes. I guess for the scandal, not bringing scandal onto the family. Or maybe because but also probably because if Joe had stayed in that jail, he might have started talking about Kate, you know?
True.
Like, get me out,
True.
or I'm gonna start talking. Okay,
Very true.
like,
Very true.
which, and I think so. I think they knew that. They knew that.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing along with that is like that killer instinct that everybody keep talking about that Kate's dad would say about her. It was popping out, baby. That initial
Mm-hmm.
conversation that her and Joe had after he got out of jail, where she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "As long as you cooperate, you will have access to my family's resources." Oh, and by the way, baby, when you got bailed out of jail, I had that custody agreement in
Oh
there, and you
yeah,
signed your rights away from Henry
yeah, yeah,
because you too wrapped up in your own
yeah.
BS.
No, I do think right there I was kind of with her. I know I wasn't before. I was like, you gonna take this man's child, but I was with her. Like, to be honest,
Yeah.
like I'm like, he's crazy. He's not fit for a child. And then one of the things I loved about that conversation, because we talked about it, we said something in the last piece about him being a weekend dad, but somebody, I think it was Kate, said you just see him as an extension of you. I was like, bing, bing,
Yes.
bing, girl,
Yes.
she hit it.
Yes.
She hit it. Because like we
Yes.
be sitting here thinking like, oh, he wants to be that. It's like, no, he has childhood wound about not being tended to, and he sees himself as Henry, and he's trying to take care of Henry, but really he's taking care of himself. You know what I'm saying? And so he don't see any of Henry's needs beyond the needs that he held as a child. You know what I'm saying? So he's not even
Yes.
attending to the full Henry. He's tending to the Henry that he sees is in himself. It's almost just like
Right.
it's like, do you look,
Yes.
look.
Yes. Yes. She hit that one on the. I literally in that moment was like, and this is why some people don't need to be parents until they
Yeah.
heal.
Yes.
Because y'all don't even recognize what kids need because you were so neglected. And that's not
Yeah.
your fault.
Yeah. It's not.
But when you bring kids into that broken system and you don't know any better, you haven't tried to do anything better, or the only better you know is to,
Mhm.
as long as it's not as bad as what you went through, it's okay.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know? It's like,
Yeah.
no, some of y'all don't need to have kids out here until you
Yeah.
address some of these childhood wounds y'all got.
Yeah, it was a very, like, I was like, I hadn't even thought about that because I'm over here like this. I'm just thinking like, yes, he's a good dad. He's a killer, but he's a
Yeah.
good dad. But I'm like, is he though? Is he really
Yeah.
addressing all of what Henry needs, or is he just literally showing up as what he didn't have and thinking,
Right.
intending to himself? Is it really even about Henry as opposed to it being about his own wound? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it definitely
So,
isn't, because look how he was acting. He wasn't coming home every night to tend to
right,
Henry. He was
right.
being a weekend dad, like you
And
said. So
jeopardizing this family home that he has that's like
yeah.
stable for Henry. He's talks about Henry's stability. Look at us, we've been getting on Joe. But he's talking about Henry's stability and like not wanting to move him to another place because of the school incident that happened with his cousin. But it's like, but you're willing to just be like, I'm getting a divorce,
Right,
Bronte.
right.
It's just like you're
You're
willing
the next
to,
mommy. You're the next
yeah.
mother.
And then also Schick took him from the first family that had him. It's like you're willing to, you talk about stability, but you're willing to do all these things and shake it all up as long as it's in line with the vision that you want to experience. As it's not about Henry, it's about
Yeah.
you. So, child,
Yes,
I'm ready
yes.
for whatever about to happen to Joe in episodes 9 and 10
Right.
because he need
Right.
his comeuppance. He's getting on my nerves.
Yeah, okay, okay. And so the next big thing that happens is Joe is begging to see Henry, begging Kate to see Henry,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not happening. Henry shows
Mm-hmm.
up. I mean, Joe shows up to Henry's
At the
school
school.
with the book, with the tracker in it.
And that's why that teacher should have known better. That teacher should have
Should have
known
known
that's
better.
her. Don't take
First of all, I
nothing
was
like
yes, the one don't take nothing that from somebody who's not even supposed to see their son. But second, if anybody comes to the school and gives my child something, you run it through me.
absolutely, absolutely. Like what are we talking about? Especially parents. A parent that's accused of murder like this. Like, come on. You don't think that's the first thing I would think about? That it was as soon as he said, "I'm giving that book," I was like, what a track ad, Joe. That's the first thing I thought about. But anyway, neither here nor there. But yeah, that happens.
Yes.
And then the incident with the Teddy.
Teddy.
Because once he get that tracker, he found him. He see him in that apartment. I thought it was about to go down. I thought he was going to kill Teddy.
I thought so too. It would have happened, I think, if Henry didn't pop up.
Yes, you're right about that. You're right about that. And even in that sense, it's like he worries about what Henry views him as. He worries about
Yes.
his image. You get what I'm saying? That's all.
Yes.
Like I wonder if Henry were to stop loving him, like to have a like, Dad, you're bad. You're a bad person. And like he literally wouldn't shake the idea. I wonder how he would show up to Henry. You know what I'm saying? Because loving a child, you show up still beyond through that. You know what I'm saying? You show up beyond how they think about you because you care about them. But would he still show up, or would he be like, "All right, your mother's got you, the world's got you. Don't worry, I'm gonna go and be with Bronte." You know what I mean? Like I wonder where
Yeah.
that would be for his character. But yeah, that
I
whole
think it
incident
would
was.
kill Joe, quite honestly, because that is like a representation of, again, his
Mhm,
younger self, and
mhm,
also like his self esteem is wrapped up in that. So
mhm.
if the one thing that's supposed to love you, a child, doesn't love you back, that's gonna
I don't
send
know
Joe
about
through the
that.
roof.
Yeah, no, for real,
That's
for
gonna
real.
send Joe through the roof. But I will say it is setting up Henry to have kind of like this similar trajectory where it's like he's being wrapped
Right.
up into so much trauma. He's already
Right.
gone through complex trauma because he has not had a stable home. But and
Right.
he has to go online and read all of these things about his parents at some
Right.
point, right? Like Quinn alone. So it's
Yes.
like,
And then
yeah, he's
Joe.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
He's
If he
being
really
set
was
up to
grand,
be a repeat.
absolutely too much trauma, too much trauma. But it is it's interesting. Teddy, just circling back to Teddy,
Yeah,
he between a rock and a hard place for real. Because
he
it's like,
is.
what is he to do? You know what I'm saying? Like he's been between a rock and a hard place this whole time. It's like go to the police, but then that'll implicate Kate. But now the police are involved, and it's like my life. I'm out. Like he's like I'm
Yes.
out. I'm out. Like who that dude from Paid in Full? What's that when he's like my body hurting? I'm out. Teddy said I'm out.
He
I'm
did.
not
He said,
doing
"I'm
this.
out." He did.
I'm out. But I don't blame him at all. At all. And I was so surprised that all that happened the way it happened. Like it was, yeah, even though I said something about a slower pace, I forgot. I realized that this episode or this part of it, that was not slow at all. That was
Yeah,
like, it
that
was
it
like,
did ramp up. It
what's
did
gonna
ramp up right
happen?
here.
I was like, what's
Yeah.
gonna happen? But not a bad slow pace, like I said before. I enjoyed the pace of it. We needed that backstory from Bronte and the crew.
Yeah. And then the next big thing, Kate goes to visit Nadia in jail. I was waiting for this to happen. Now, what I
Uh,
was not expecting to happen was Kate not knowing that Joe was the Eat the Rich killer.
yeah.
I thought she knew. Did you think she knew?
I had no like season 4 is a blur to me, to be honest. Like I'm confused about because like at the end of it all, I was like I wasn't even sure who got killed because I was like, was this a
Yeah.
delusion? Did they get killed? Like I was confused. So I
Kate
forgot about
gets it's
season
okay,
4's.
but Kate gets Nadia released from prison, and they start to go to
Mhm.
work in terms of trying to figure out like how they could take Joe down. Um, and that's when Kate finally is like, I have consequences for my behaviors, because the lawyer was like, you're wrapped up in quite a bit of this.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I have to do what I gotta do, as long
Mhm,
as Joe gets caught, pretty much.
mhm,
But she
mhm.
also ends with saying, you know what, Nadia, we're gonna have to kill Joe. That's the only way to stop him.
Yeah. I was surprised at that. I don't want him to get killed though. I want
Yeah,
him because then it's like that just continues for them. Like
yeah.
the cycle continues, and I don't want Nadia's hands to be dirty in any way. I just
Yes.
really
Why
don't.
would she even put Nadia in that position after you're sitting here
Yeah.
saying like, I don't deserve your help
Yeah.
or anything, and then all of a sudden now you
Yeah.
want to wrap her back up into some BS,
Yeah,
like,
because like right now she's technically free and she has literally done nothing. You know? But
yes,
now you're gonna actually dirty her hands up. I think you just need to dirty your own. See, look the privilege. Privilege.
yes,
Like
yes,
you trying to use
yes,
like you want to dirty her hands so that
yes,
you have your keep your cake and eat it too. And it's like, girl, just turn yourself in. That's how you solve it. Be the hero.
yes,
Be the
right,
shero. Like,
right,
turn yourself in.
right. Her be the white knight, girl, because I can tell you right now, I ain't got nothing to do with it. My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Yeah. And so I'm like,
You
I
didn't
don't
do
want none
nothing
of
for
that.
me because I shouldn't have been here in the first place. And I'm only
Right.
here because you and your resources put me here. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Straight
Yeah,
up.
I know. Right, right, right. I really would love Nadia to say that. I hope she doesn't try to kill him, but
Child.
whatever.
Let's hope
We'll
prison
see.
ain't did a number on her. Sometimes you just like, I'm just glad to be
Yeah.
out. Just glad to be out.
Yeah. And so
Alrighty.
while they're in so I was gonna say while they're in London, she has Henry with her and she connects with Phoebe,
Mm-hmm.
who was in season 4. And Phoebe leaves her phone near Henry and Henry calls his dad.
Yes.
I'm like, he know phone numbers, but I guess that's good. Like we used to teach my little brother when he was a kid phone numbers. Like we made songs out of them so he could remember how to call the house phone and stuff like that. But yeah, he calls Joe, talks to them, and then what did Joe say in that call? Like, did he say anything? I can't remember. Important.
I can't remember besides it just being like an angry rant, like you can't take my son
Mhm.
away from me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like he can't leave the country. I'm sure. I'm sure his little
Yeah.
bail restrictions have stay in the U.S., but he
Yeah.
might have like his little fake ID, fake passports, and he might just go and get to London and start doing some things.
Yeah.
In London they ain't even got no guns. He'll probably have a gun. They'll probably have guns too. I don't know, but
Yeah,
they
probably
supposed to.
not. But he got connections if he wanted to get
Yeah,
out,
that's what
though.
I'm
It's
saying.
just
Like
his
he
face
has
is everywhere.
I know he know how to use a knife as we saw with Teddy, like he and with Maddie. So, maybe we should
Yeah.
transition into the Maddie storyline. Is there anything in this
Yes.
one that we haven't talked about?
No, I
The
think
Kate,
that's it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So the Maddie one, the knife scene, just jump right into it. But no. But yeah, that whole thing, a mess.
Yeah, that was crazy. Hella crazy. Psychotic. Uh, but we are reintroduced to Maddie as she is talking to Kate, and Kate suggests that she should go to rehab. What was a little interesting in that scene is like after that conversation, Kate kind of goes off to the side and she texts someone named Sloan. Don't know who Sloan is, but she's like, "Hi Sloan, Maddie is done. We'll be gone for a month. Consider her handled." I didn't know what the hell that meant, but it seemed very sketch.
Yeah, I
I
don't know
was
either. I
like,
have no clue. I didn't even notice it, to be honest. Like your recap is recapping for me because I
I
didn't
literally,
notice
I had
that at
to pause
all.
it. I was like, who is Sloan?
I didn't
Who?
notice that
What?
at all.
And what do you mean consider her handled? It sounded very eerie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
Joe, in the meantime, is baiting Maddie and sends the video of her killing Reagan. And is like, if you don't come over here now, I'm going to show the world what you did. Maddie comes over and he's pretty much like, I need you to help me like regain my image because it's just not looking good. And Maddie is the one who sets him up with the interview. And we kind of recapped that earlier. He takes them down to the dungeon area, sees the cage. He breaks down because of his trauma during the interview.
I'm wondering if he breaking down because of the trauma or if he just overwhelmed by being caught, overwhelmed by this predicament he's in, and
Yeah, it felt very random to me.
yeah, it did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was giving fake tears.
Well, something about it gave something. It was just peculiar. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like it was just like this spontaneous, uncontrollable burst, but it was just like, what?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, then they have the moment with Maddie when he comes to the house and
Husband
Maddie's trying to
Harrison.
have sex with Harrison as Reagan, and then she says something like, "Baby, I've missed you," and he's like, "Baby, I know y'all," like, and so he recognizes, and then she ties him up, or that, I don't even know how she do that. Both of them may be strong. I don't know how she does that, but
well, no, she hit him on the head.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Maddie
yes,
hits him on the head because he's like freaking out. It's like, where's Reagan? Where's Reagan? Where's Reagan? And then she calls Joe, and then Joe comes, and I'm sure Joe was the one who taped his ass.
Taped them, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's standing strong. Like, nope, this is not right. This is not right. And it's interesting. Like, even though it was like they presented it like it was a dumb thing. Like, you can be with this woman now. Like, you couldn't be. But it's like it's not even just the right choice. It's the sleep at night choice. The one that's gonna let you be able to sleep at night. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Everybody's being put into a difficult
Difficult
situation.
position.
Yes, and I guess that's
Yes.
hats off to the writers, because they're creating these scenarios that just like there's no clear happily ever after with it all. They're just
it's messy. It's making everybody complicit, literally. Everybody is now tied in, roped in some way. I'm like, now Harrison in it. He went from not knowing a damn thing to now he know everything, and he is now complicit. And he says he's he's gonna go along. So we shall see if that sticks. But yeah, that's when we get to when Joe is like at the chair.
Yeah, because he's mad. What was he mad about? I can't even remember. Oh, was it Bronte? What was he mad about in that chair, like doing that? Because he was mad about. Oh yeah, he was like, "These fools can be in love, and I don't have love." Like, that's what.
Right,
he was.
right.
So, is there anything else that was in this Maddie Joe storyline that we didn't touch on that you want to discuss?
No, I think that was everything. Yeah.
And I guess that's the episode. Like, what are you thinking is gonna happen? Like, what are your predictions for this ending? Because the next one we do, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna miss it a little bit.
I feel like Bronte, she's already wrapped in, so
she's already what?
She's already wrapped in.
What that mean?
Like, she's wrapped up in Joe. Like, so in terms of her storyline, I feel like in his mind, he's gonna feel like that's a happily ever after for him. I don't know where Bronte's head really is, but it just seems like it's stuck up Joe's ass. So I don't know with that one.
That's funny.
Kate, if Kate is not willing to take herself down, I feel like everything she's doing is pointless. And I hope at the end of this that Nadia is able to walk away free with no blood on her hands. Yeah. And Harrison, I don't believe he's really in it. I think he's going to end up telling.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but he doesn't need to die. He needs a public shaming. He needs the world to show him, be a mirror to himself. And he needs to be in jail.
Yes, and he needs to be isolated.
You think the prisoners need to be scared of him?
No, I just think he needs to learn that the world truly doesn't revolve around him. And
I think them other prisoners could teach him that.
Yeah, they could. They definitely could. You right.
I think in isolation, he's just gonna be more in his own delusion. He's not gonna have reality checking him. So I think he need to be in Gym Pop. Gym Pop. Put him in there. Come on. Yes. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I do think they're gonna have him be killed though, and I don't like that. I do not like it, but just the trajectory that they're going in, because like they ended off episode 8, like, we gotta kill him, like, and I think they're gonna swoop up everybody, Marianne, everybody. I think everybody's gonna come and everybody's gonna be involved in this moment of killing him, and it's gonna be so big and massive in terms of all whose hands are in it that they're gonna keep the secret for each other, that none of them are gonna tell on each other. I don't know. This is like an ideal. Too ideal.
We shall see. But hopefully, by the time you guys are listening to this, we'll be watching episode 9 and 10 and preparing to. Yeah.
Same. So we're gonna finish. But all right, guys, make sure you like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are interested in joining our chat for you on Instagram, DM us on Instagram at Black Girls Talking TV, and we'll add you in there. And we could chit chat a little bit about what you loved about this season, what you didn't. But let us know in the comments. How are you? What do you rate it? Because for me, this season, it's an A plus. Like I'm not. It's an A plus. I think this has been an excellent season. So
yes,
one of my favorite You seasons for sure.
Yeah. I know Penn is happy because he hates Joe. The guy who plays
yes,
him.
He does. Yeah. Who was like he the biggest hater.
Yes. But that's it, y'all. Yes.
See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.